Chapter 17, Vanilla. After the raids, an ATF SWAT team gave me 24 hours to fold my life into one suitcase. At least in the interim, I could choose my temporary relocation, a nondescript residence inn in Oxnard, the strawberry and lima bean capital of California. Situated 100 miles from Victorville, the area was still considered Ventura County, and as far as I knew, only one other Vago lived in Oxnard. I needed to stay fairly close to Kaz in order to collect money from him, since I no longer worked. Kaz assured me my limbo status was temporary, 3 months max, but Kaz had never before placed an informant into the WSP. George arrived the same day and settled into a suite next to mine. The transition was no doubt more difficult for him since he had a family and a baby due. I couldn't imagine him burdening a loved one with such secrecy. Not only did he have to become temporarily invisible, she did too. At first, it was strange living out of a suitcase, buying groceries, cooking meals in my room that transformed into a miniature apartment, saluting the hotel concierge each morning as I headed for the gym or walked Hercules. Several military personnel also occupied the suites at government expense. Some had lived there for years. We were warehouse people in limbo, waiting for our lives to restart. By summer, the football field behind the residence inn converted into the Dallas Cowboys' training camp, and I was fortunate enough to receive VIP passes to the practices. George's routine differed considerably as he tempered his wife's growing restlessness and concerns about the impending birth of their first child. Nothing to occupy my time, I enrolled in online classes through Liberty University and decided in my new life I would be well educated and well employed. I worked toward my bachelor's in biblical studies. But I was restless. I didn't know how to still my mind. Working the Vagos had been an addiction. Living in the hotel, cut off from myself, was like withdrawal. I needed something to revive my inner core, to fuel my sense of purpose. I knew why I had infiltrated the Vagos, not to work off charges, although that had been my initial reason, but to contribute, to do good in the world, to be part of a solution, not a problem. The hotel was safe, but it was killing me. I didn't know how to be done. I imagined that cops forced to retire felt similar angst. I panicked. What would life after the Vagos look like? I had nightmares of stocking shelves in Walmart, working the graveyard shift, adjusting, adapting, accepting my new vanilla life, and I couldn't stand it. The specter of prison also loomed large. Now that the Vagos case had ended, I fully expected to be sentenced pursuant to my 2002 plea agreement for drug conspiracy charges. And while I had hoped I would receive probation, I had no expectations. So when Kaz called me one morning with the good news that he and John Carr had convinced the U.S. Attorney's Office to drop all charges against me, I thought I had won the lottery. I was free, my life a complete do-over. I wanted so badly to get it right. No mistakes, no lapses, no apologies. Like the lone survivor of a deadly plane crash, I had been given a gift, a second lease. I couldn't live vanilla. I needed to be involved in something big. I had read about the bloody history of the Quebec biker war between the Hells Angels and the Rock Machine. The Canadian Hells Angels operated like drug cartels and ran $1 billion business. The turf war between the two claimed hundreds of lives, including an 11-year-old boy who died when a car bomb exploded outside a biker hangout. It also bred one of Canada's most prolific contract killers. I contacted a biker expert in Canada and offered my skills. He connected me to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, similar to our FBI. A suit met me in a dinner near beach in California. We spoke in hushed tones over steak and eggs. He said I impressed him. He might be able to use me. But as weeks wore on, he grew discouraged. His agency suffered from budget cuts due to the recession and the Olympics. There are the other provinces looking for similar help, he said, and suggested Ontario. You should resubmit next year. After 9 months of hotel life, I proposed, as Kaz handed me $3,000 cash for expenses, that I find something cheaper nearby. I didn't see the point in wasting government funds for a hotel room I might occupy indefinitely. I quickly found a condo in Oceanside in San Diego, 2 blocks from the beach. Fresh paint coated the walls. A wooden deck overlooked the swells. George moved into a house next door. We fished on the docks each night at sunset. Even if we caught nothing, the lapping of the waves, the salt air wet on our faces, and the sand of our clothes enveloped us with calm. Those quiet moments, Hercules' head on my lap, were some of my happiest moments of my life. 3 more months passed, and one early evening George's face glowed bright in the golden dusk. He plunked his poles and bait on the dock and grinned. I got a kid now, a baby born to legally invisible parents. Life was good, life was really good, but I knew it wouldn't last. A few days later, George left. It was hard saying goodbye to him, my only friend, the only witness to my life. I would never see him again, never know where he lived, how his child developed, how his life evolved. I would never know the ending. Mine was a cutoff life. Kaz gave me a week's notice. I was leaving. I planned my exit. I found a prime kennel for my dog, one that boasted a swimming pool, gourmet meals, and a large play area for proper socialization. Hercules rested his large head in my lap, his dark eyes overbright, expectant, our connection to one another almost spiritual. He trusted me, knew without a doubt I would return for him. After midnight, with wind howling through the vents, there was a knock at my front door. I tossed off my sheets and pulled on my jeans and a t-shirt, my heart pounding. This was it. Kaz smiled as I padded into the hallway. I still didn't feel ready. I had no idea if my destination was cold, warm, or rainy. Pack layers, Kaz had suggested. What followed was a blur. We drove in silence to Lax, a mixture of fear and excitement coursing through me as I watched headlights smear the darkness. The deputy marshal who met us at security smiled warmly at us, extended her hand to Kaz, and nodded to the duffel bags. You have your things? An awkward moment passed as she mistook Kaz for me. I understood her confusion. Kaz looked every bit the informant, with his chiseled features, blonde goatee and mustache, bedraggled clothes. I cleared my throat. I'm the one here to take. She absorbed my clean-cut style and fresh-washed tan with some hesitation, unsure whether he had played a trick on her. This is the end of the line. Kaz shook my hand and I felt my lifeline sever. The deputy escorted me quickly through the metal detectors. I had no identification, no credit cards, no photo. Guards looked through me like I was a ghost already. I boarded a plane as a fake person and settled next to a woman who bloomed like a flower in a red blouse with yellow spots. The black runway dazzled with pin lights. Turbulence rocked the plane as we flew through thick clouds and lightning. Flight attendants scurried down the aisle and placed miniature cans of Sprite and club soda on my fold-out tray. I stared at the black night alert and more focused than I'd ever been in my life. And as dawn bruised the sky, we landed in Minneapolis. My heart raced. Cold blew into the plane. Was this to be my new home? Although it was early March, snow dusted the runway. Another deputy marshal met me in the waiting area. He smiled, shook my hand, and hurried me through yet another security gate. Weather postponed my next flight, this time to Albany, New York. We're going to have to put you in a hotel until the blizzard passes, the marshal said. I felt like displaced luggage. The next day, I flew to Albany, where winter lasted another month, and I waited in the Hilton for my next flight. Snow covered the streets. Day blended into night. I stood at my window, steamy coffee in hand, absorbed in a white, quiet world, my life suspended again. The television flickered behind me, my only window to the world, my only human contact. Albany was not my final destination. Any preferences? Kaz had asked me early on where I thought I might want to end up. I liked Virginia. My online university had a campus in Lynchburg, and I thought it would be nice to attend live classes. But of course, I had no control over where I would finally live. I might have enjoyed the wait more had I not been so stressed out about my dog. Hercules had been with me since he was 6 weeks old. He was my only family, an indoor dog. He was accustomed to sleeping in my bed, curling in piles of blankets at my feet. If I lost him, I really didn't think I could survive this new loneliness. I promise I'll take care of him for you, Kaz assured me, even offering to split the kennel cost. He must have heard the panic in my voice. Kaz had always been kind to me, decent, a real human being. But when he offered to look after Hercules for me, he saved my life. No one had ever showed me such kindness. He called to report Hercules' antics, his sleeping and eating patterns, and his general mood. He was like a concerned parent with a new infant. As I cradled the phone to my ear, I relaxed. I chose a new name in Albany, but it would take another month to get identification with that name and a new social security number. In early May, with wind whipping around my coat collar, I boarded a plane for my final destination. Deputy marshals escorted me once more through the metal detectors, up the ramp, through the final gate. As passengers found their seats, I tried to guess by their attire where I was headed. Some wore floppy straw hats, striped shorts, suits. Then the flight attendant announced over the speaker, Norfolk, Virginia. When I landed, I had no formal identity, no driver's license, birth certificate, or passport, nothing to prove my existence. My challenge? To find a place that would accept an invisible man. Illegals accomplished as much every day. After such searching and rejection, I settled on a quiet, crime-ridden black neighborhood in Portsmouth, near the beach. The one-bedroom house had a den and a fenced yard and plenty of room for Hercules. He has to fly out before June, I told Kaz. 1, the temperatures climb over 80 degrees. It'll be too hot for him. There were no flights in the middle of the night to Norfolk. Hercules had to be crated and placed in cargo long enough to make it across the country and not melt. As the days ticked by, I grew more and more concerned. If Hercules didn't board a plane in the next couple of days, I would have to wait until the fall. And by then, my heart raced as Hercules emerged from the cargo. He had lost 15 pounds. His eyes lit up when he saw me. He practically slid across the tiles into my arms. It was the first time I thought I might make it.